Hello there. I guess I'll interrupt your lunch. Thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Scott Beardsley. I'm coming here on behalf of the American Chamber of Commerce, otherwise known as AmCham. And before I introduce our distinguished guest, I thought maybe I would just take a couple minutes to share how the AmCham is looking at Belgium and what some of the things are that we're doing. I would first start by saying that both from a personal point of view, now that I've lived almost 20 years in Belgium, and I think also from the Chamber's point of view, that we look at Belgium as a great place, both to live, and we think that Belgium is also a great place to do business from many respects. It's got a multilingual workforce, very productive workers, it's got a strategic location in the heart of Europe. By and large, it's got great infrastructure and logistics. It's got a lot of things going for it, not to mention, the things that we love, the chocolate, the beer, all the great things about Belgium. It's got a lot of things, quality of life, fantastic place to live and raise a family. And, most of the business people that I know actually really like Belgium and want to like Belgium. So there's a lot of things going for it. But that being said, when we kind of step back and look at it, somehow there's a sense that maybe Belgium is not achieving its full potential. It is a good place to do business. I think the World Economic Forum this last year rated Belgium, I think, about 18th of all countries in the world on the competitiveness index. Belgium is also a place that historically has had a huge amount of foreign direct investment. As a percentage of the economy, Belgium is right at the top of European countries. But if you look at what's happened in the last couple of years, there's definitely been a drop. And it's not only related to the crisis. So if you look at the investment of all countries into Belgium, foreign direct investments dropped 46%. And if you look at the United States investment over the last 2 years, it's dropped 75% into Belgium. That being said, there's still a huge amount of historical investment in the country, but Belgium has actually lost some market share. If you look at how much, for example, the US has invested in other European countries, Belgium is losing market share. So we took we've taken a look at what some of the causes of that might be, talked to our member companies, of which there are about 600, that are not only American, they're also from all countries, Belgian and otherwise. And I'll just share with you very top line observations that we would make, suggestions that we think would help make Belgium more competitive. First and foremost, we think that Social Security charges for the employers ought to be reduced, and our position is that it should be reduced to 20% of gross wages. And that action should be made to particularly try and stimulate youth employment by reducing social charges there. As you know, or may not know, youth employment between 15 and 24 in Belgium is only 27%, which is among the very lowest of all European countries. Secondly, we were just talking about this at our table, the position of the Chamber is that Belgium should reduce its headline corporate tax rate to 25%. The joke was, at the table, well, there's a report in the newspaper yesterday that actually when you look at how much taxes people are paying, companies are paying, they're only paying 13%, I think was the number that came out at the table. So basically people aren't paying enough taxes. I think the problem is that the headline rate is one of the highest in Europe. In fact, it's the second highest at 34%. After you do different deductions, depending on what industry you're in and so forth, Belgium can be more competitive. Nevertheless, we think that there's an opportunity to improve the communication and the headline rate while maintaining the notional interest deduction. Third priority is the reducing administrative burden, and even though we think the government has done quite a bit on that, more can be done to make Belgium a simple place to do business and to attract more foreign skilled workers. Fourth priority that we've laid out is to support research and development and encourage innovation-oriented education. We think that the government should try and find a way to increase its R&D spending, and we think by 25% that would be a good start. And stop looking to claw back looking at clawbacks on innovative companies that have already invested. Fifth, major priority that we see for the country is to increase workforce participation, particularly among older workers. Belgium's employment rate, which I think is always a revealing statistic, unemployment is very manipulable. But the employment rate in Belgium is actually one of the lowest in all of Europe among the 55 and over. To be very specific, between 55 and 65, the employment rate is 34%, which is less than half of that of Sweden and Norway, just to give you a benchmark. So they have more than double the number of people in that age category working. And by the way, paying taxes and maintaining the social system and so forth, which is very important in those countries as well. And if you drill down just two little notches, the participation rate among 60 to 64 is 17%. And if you look at above 65, it's 2%. So if you look at at least the people I know in Belgium that are over 55 years old, they have something to offer. And there's a lot of incentives to have them not work. And I think that's kind of a pity, and that will need to change. And that's why we advocate actually raising the retirement age and finding better incentives to allow older workers to go back into the workforce because they have something to offer. And last priority for us is to improve employment flexibility and to, in particular, reformulate and reform wage indexation. If not eliminating it, definitely rethinking the formula and how it happens. If you think about what happened in the crisis, that Belgium was forced to raise wages heading into the worst crisis since World War II, it's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And it's because the formula is backward-looking, so you have no flexibility to adjust based on what you think is going to happen. So those are just some quick highlights. In essence, I guess the way I would summarize it is, we think Belgium should be the best place in Europe to do business. It's the capital of Europe, and it should be the best place to do business. And so the challenge I like to think of is, let's have business and working with the government make a comeback, just like Justine Henin and Kim Clijsters, who I love to watch play tennis, have been doing in the Australian and the US Open. So that's what we're doing at AmCham, and working with our member companies to make Belgium a better place to do business. And now let me turn to the real reason I'm here, which is to introduce our distinguished guest. So Howard Gutman was nominated by President Barack Obama to be the United States ambassador to the Kingdom of Belgium, and was confirmed by the Senate on 24th of July in 2009. And before doing that, he was a partner in a Washington, D.C. based law firm, Williams & O'Connelly, where for over 26 years he did basically all kinds of law that you can imagine for a private law firm, specializing in litigation, investigation, and counseling matters. Identified as absolutely one of the most influential lawyers in Washington, if not the entire United States. He was named things like a super lawyer. We've got these different categories and all kinds of different award lists. And he's done things like complex commercial litigation, representations of some of the leading law firms and accounting firms in malpractice lawsuits, representations of corporations, labor unions, and individuals in white-collar criminal activities and prosecutions, and also many kinds of tort actions that you hear about in the United States. Earlier in his career as a young lawyer, Mr. Gutman